From the 22 News Plus studio, this is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of InFocus. I am your host, Patrick Berry. We're live in the 22 News Plus studios. Remember the Nigerian prince who used to send you emails about 10, 15 years ago that you were one of the many people that may be available to inherit millions and millions of pound dollars? Those were the easy scams. Scams have gotten so much more complicated nowadays. And sitting across the desk from me today is Steve Weisman. He is an attorney, a professor, and the creator of Scamicide.com. And we're here today to talk about how scams are affecting you and some of the things that you can do to protect yourself. Steve, thank you so very much for joining me. I use that Nigerian prince thing because that was very sophisticated, maybe like I said, 10 or 15 years ago.
I'll tell you the interesting thing about that. It is less sophisticated now, the Nigerian scam. If you looked at the letters, and people still are getting these emails, you look at me and go, who would possibly fall for this?
Absolutely.
And they're intentionally made ridiculous because they don't want to waste time with people they're going to convince. They want to get the people who are making the snap judgment that, I can get this money, and they're the ones that they're going to work on. So they purposely make them more ridiculous now.
And your standard run-of-the-mill everyday scams are getting much more complicated.
So much more sophisticated, and a lot of that is due to artificial intelligence. It's a combination of artificial intelligence is being used by scammers, and scammers who are not particularly sophisticated. I remember at one time years ago, Interpol said there were only about 100 cyber criminal geniuses. I called them the Lex Luthors. Now, anyone can use AI and get a level of sophistication, and there actually are special AI for criminals that you can find on the dark web. Maybe you and I won't find on the dark web, but are used to create websites, to make deep fakes, all kinds of things. So yeah, like we always say, things aren't as bad as you think. They're far worse.
They're much worse. So when it comes to AI scams, what are some of the things people should be looking out for? Because, we see it every day in the news. You see celebrities, politicians, what looks like a real speech, real video, real endorsement, not even close to being real.
Yeah.
So how do you know, what are some of the things to look out for when it comes to AI scams?
Well, it's what we call zero trust. You at this point, you cannot trust what you see. I've seen some indications of with less sophisticated deep fakes. They will say that you may even see an extra finger or look for this lighting or whatever. My sense is no, those don't work. There are some programs that people can use, and these are in the early stages of being able to have deepfake detector apps that you can use. But essentially, it has to be zero trust. I'll give you a good example from just a couple of weeks ago. There were Instagram videos of Gisele Bündchen, and she was
Tom Brady's old wife.
Yep. Okay. She was giving away a special face cream. All you had to do was pay for the shipping, and total scam. It wasn't her. I saw the deep fakes, and I would never have been able to distinguish it as being fake. And of course, there was nothing gets delivered. You only pay that that
$9.99 or $14.99 or whatever it is.
And it was a riot because I'm looking, going, well, how much money can you make from that? They got arrested. They had already taken in about $4 million. And that's the thing. What you have to do in something like that is, okay, it's Gisele Bündchen. The same type of thing was done with Taylor Swift giving away some free cookware. So you don't trust your social media. You go to the website of the celebrity. If they are actually doing something,
they're going to promote it.
You're going to find it there. Right. So you've got to confirm, and then you got to make sure when you're confirming that you're getting the right thing. And you can't trust your AI.
Exactly.
So if you ask Siri or Alexa for the customer service number or what's the website for Taylor Swift, what they're going to do is they harvest from the internet and give you the answer. And what I found is that the scammers are going on chat rooms and others with their phony websites. They only need about 200 of those to fool AI. And again, AI is not perfect. I tell my students, where does AI get its information? The internet.
Right.
Well, good. Thank God there's nothing wrong and false on the internet.
You've mentioned a couple of times something called deep fake. Explain to me what a deep fake is.
Deep fakes are videos of people. What happens is the scammers are able to use programs. They're deep fakes and voice clones. So they're able to use programs that will take video of a person, and for the voice cloning, their voice. And I've seen some as little as 30 seconds. They'll say, now you get a phone call and they ask, is it you? Don't say, yes, it's me, because that's
Right.
enough time. That isn't enough time to really do a voice clone. But it doesn't take more than about 30 seconds for these programs. And there are some that are relatively sophisticated. There are others that aren't. But these programs will then allow you to program in that person saying whatever you want them to say. This is used by, we mentioned Nigerian prince.
Yeah.
There's a super organized, sophisticated group called the Yahoo Boys in Nigeria. And they have been running massive scams on all kinds of levels. They're doing romance scams now, but in the past, you would never see the person that you're having the romance with.
But now you can, because it's all artificial intelligence generated per people.
Yeah, they're going to look exactly like the person they're portraying. There's going to be no hint of any kind of a Nigerian accent, and so you can't trust. And you talked about where is this being done? The grandparent scam or the family emergency scam. You get the call in the middle of the night. First of all, they harvest information. I used to love The Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, great job.
Yeah, Sheldon's grandmother he used to call Meemaw. So Meemaw gets a call in the middle of the night. Meemaw, it's me, Steve. Now, how do they know it's Meemaw? Because they've gone and harvested, again, AI makes it easier, through social media of the grandchild. Here's a picture of me and Meemaw. Then they're able to clone the voice of that grandchild who says, I have an emergency. So they know who you are. They know information about you, and it looks and sounds exactly like that person.
Wow. Folks, we're up on our first commercial break. If you're not scared yet, just wait. We'll be back after this.
This is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry. This is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry.
Welcome back, everyone, to this edition of InFocus. We're talking about scams and how to protect yourself. Steve Weisman is across the desk from me today. Steve, thank you so very much for joining me. I appreciate your time. We talked about AI and deep fakes. Is that sort of the norm now for scammers to utilize technology to steal your money or your identity?
Well, everything. It's scam artists, the only criminals we call artists. And interestingly enough, it's across the board. So some of the biggest data breaches that we've had haven't been sophisticated technologically. They've been what we call social engineering. The hackers, they will call up the HR department or tech department, and they will somehow, using psychology, convince someone to give them access, change a password. They pose as a worker, and then just convince them to get in there. So some of the biggest data breaches, the MGM data breach, was not technologically sophisticated. Called in, posed as an employee. I need to change my password, and they were able to do that. But on the flip side of that, the technology has gotten so sophisticated, and we have this, what we call a new business model. These cybercriminal geniuses who create the sophisticated malware they can use in the delivery systems and all of this, and the websites, they go on the dark web and they lease this to other less sophisticated criminals. So very, very sophisticated technological scam equipment and the deepfakes and all can be done for you as the less sophisticated criminal. So it opens it up for anyone to be able to use it. So yeah, the answer is the technology is making the scam so much worse.
And it's hard to stay on top of it. Even for you and I or younger folks who have who are mentally active all the time. But I fear for the older adults who aren't as don't have the mental acuity they once had. And then they fall for things that that normally they wouldn't have.
Yeah, and you're entirely correct on that. And here's the thing, because I've studied for years why people fall for scams, and intelligent people falling for scams. We can also, by the way, who do you think falls for investment scams more, men or women?
Men. I mean, that's sort of like a softball question, because you'd think men are more attuned to, investment, but than women. Very sexist comment. I apologize, but you just kind of, I think, naturally.
But it's absolutely correct. And by far, men, we look at that shiny new investment and object and we go for it. Women are a bit generally more conservative and not falling for it. And taking the time is important. But when you talk about seniors, there were studies done at the University of Iowa and UCLA that showed there's a part of our brain as we age that deals with skepticism that becomes less viable. So indeed, they are more trusting, and they will fall for scams that they may not have younger. However, the second most scammed group are my college students, Gen Z. And that's because they're just too trusting, because they're, hey, technology is what I do. I'll click on this link.
So is that where technology is helping the scammers? They scan online data and say, okay, and they seek out people that are maybe age 70 and older, or age, under 21, to target those groups and kind of leave out the middle?
Everybody's going to get hit, but you're absolutely correct. And now with AI, it makes the harvesting of information about people so easy. So when you get my son-in-law plays in an Eagles tribute band, and I love the Eagles.
Who doesn't?
If I get a email about something doing with the Eagles, I'm apt to trust it. I may click on a link that I shouldn't click on a link. And that's what they do and that's the difference between with the technology now and then. We used to get the phishing email, and the phishing email was general something, and it may not have even had your name on it, wasn't specifically oriented.
Hey, are you interested in this pair of shoes?
Or even I got one. I was at a destination wedding, I remember years ago in Las Vegas, and I got a phishing email about my account with Citizens Bank, and there were problems. And I go, oh my goodness. And then I realized, not being the smartest bulb, I don't have an account at Citizens. It was just sent everywhere. But now they gather so much information about you that it is going to be from my bank. It is going to have my name. It is going to have information about me that makes me tend to trust it. And that's the real dangerous thing. That's why we have to go to zero trust. If you're asked for personal information, if you're asked to make a payment, if you're asked to click on a link, you can't trust anything.
Right. Yeah. You double check it, triple check it, just to make sure.
Like
you said earlier, if it's a celebrity endorsed thing, go to the celebrity's website or social media pages, because they're going to be pushing it if that's exactly the case.
Yeah.
Big things in the news. Scammers take advantage of that. The government shut down this fall.
Yep.
Scammers are taking advantage of that. How?
We've got, right now you've got the government shutdown. You also have began October 15th and is going through December 7th, the Medicare open enrollment. So whatever is going on currently, they are there. You talk about first responders. When there's a natural disaster, they will always be there before FEMA. But when you're looking at the shutdown. There are a lot of emails and text messages people are getting about suspended benefit programs. You need to click on this link. You need to provide this information. And here again, there's a part of our brain called the amygdala. And the amygdala was developed in early evolution, and it was the fight or flight to make a decision instantaneously in an emergency. And that's fine when you need to, there's a rustle in the bushes, I got to jump away before that saber-toothed tiger gets me. So here the thing is, the emergency could be there's a problem with your bank, there's a problem with your Social Security check. The flip side of it is, here's a great investment opportunity that's going to go away in minutes unless you respond.
Right.
So people drop that thoughtfulness process and they respond and they get into trouble. So when you get any kind of an email, a text message about a problem or asking for personal information or clicking on the link regarding the shutdown, there again, you can't trust
anything big in the news.
Yeah, and truly. And, with Medicare, we have, and Medicare's complicated stuff.
Right.
A client of mine is a financial planner. He advises people with all of their finance. And he turns 65 and he goes, I don't understand this. How does this work? And understandably so. So people can be confused, and you're going to get contacted. If there was a change, if you are on Medicare, and there was a change in your plan, you would have already been contacted by your insurance company a month before this.
Okay.
But people will get contacted. You don't know. The two places to go are, one is the Medicare website. And it really is good.
Okay.
And you can look in there for plan finders and what's available to me, and you can get something. The other thing is, all of the states have what they call SHIP. And it's an acronym for, I'm not sure what it is, but the idea is this is a nonprofit corporation that helps people around the country for free work through Medicare and insurance programs.
Okay.
So you go to ship.org and you'll be able to get that information, but you can't trust what else you get.
We are up on our second commercial break. We're here with Steve Weisman talking about how you can protect your identity and your finances. We'll be right back after this.
This is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry. This is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry.
Welcome back to this edition of In Focus. I am your host, Patrick Berry. Sitting across the desk from me this morning is Steve Weisman. He is the creator of Scamicide.com, a website you should probably go to fairly regularly to protect yourself, your money, your identity, and so forth. And we're talking about all of that this morning. Steve, thanks again for joining me. One of the things we had kind of alluded to a little earlier on was cryptocurrency. It's, for those of you who are unfamiliar with cryptocurrency, and I'm not really, I know like the tip of the iceberg, but I know Steve knows more about it. What is cryptocurrency?
Cryptocurrencies are non-governmental currencies. And so they're largely unregulated. It's interesting how they evolved, because initially it was a way of transferring value for international trade without having all of the attendant costs that you would get generally if you were switching currencies and moving currencies internationally. But it's taken off. I'm not a fan of cryptocurrency investments, but we could talk.
That's a whole nother segment.
Yeah, it really is. However, it's here, and it's here to stay. And one of the things with cryptocurrencies there's a great deal of anonymity. So when you have scammers, they would prefer not to have your credit card. They'll go for your credit card, but they like gift cards, which can't be traced. Right. They like wired money, which is then quickly laundered somewhere else. And they love cryptocurrencies because they are able to be kept anonymous. Interestingly enough, our FBI has gotten so much better than really any other law enforcement in actually tracing some of these. And this is where the criminals will get money transferred into a cryptocurrency, and then they'll bounce it into another cryptocurrency, and then they'll divide it into a different cryptocurrency. So the laundering process, the more steps you take. But what now we're seeing with criminals is they will. Well, I'll give you an example of a scam. Right now there's a letter, a good old fashioned letter that
snail mail letter you get in your mailbox.
Yep, this one's from the United States Supreme Court, and it's signed by Chief Justice Roberts and Associate Justice Sonia Sotomayor, telling you, and it's great Supreme Court stationery, and it's addressed to you directly, that your name and social security number has been used in a drug crime. Your assets are going to be frozen. You're going to get a call from the Justice Department or the Social Security Administration to correct this situation. And you had better do this or you're going to lose all of your assets. This is followed up by a phone call, and if you look on your phone for caller ID, it will appear to come from the FBI or Social Security Administration. You need to protect your assets because your assets are going to be frozen. So withdraw your money, go to a cryptocurrency ATM, which looks just like a regular ATM.
Right.
You put money into it and send it they give you a QR code, you scan in, and it goes into the wallet of the scammer. In this case, they're telling you it goes into a government wallet for safekeeping.
So for anything that's as soon as it comes up with gift cards or cryptocurrency, question mark should come up.
Yeah, it is a sad commentary that the IRS on its website actually writes, we don't take gift cards because, and that's
too many people are.
Yeah, people are just going to fall for that again without thinking, and it's the emergency. So these cryptocurrency ATMs have been used by criminals so much, and there's a profit margin for these companies that are doing it. There's legislation that's been proposed, but it's a long way out nationally in Congress. But some states, like most recently Louisiana and Arizona, have put in their own regulations, which are pretty good. If this is the first time you're using one of these cryptocurrency ATMs, they can have a 72-hour in one of these states hold on it, because often people realize they've been scammed, but not right away. Also, limits on the amount of money that can be transferred on initial and early accounts. So this is coming.
Let me ask you, cryptocurrency ATM. I think of an ATM as like, I go to my bank, I insert my card, punch my PIN in. Is that what very similar is a cryptocurrency?
Absolutely.
There are standalone machines in places?
If you saw a cryptocurrency, if you walked by a cryptocurrency ATM, it would look just like your regular ATM.
Okay.
And that's why people are comfortable using this. I tell you a story. There was a pop-up ad. There's a problem on your computer to an elderly guy in Waltham, Massachusetts, a few weeks ago. He has to give $12,000 to Microsoft to fix this. Do this by the cryptocurrency ATM. He had the good fortune to be going to a cryptocurrency ATM in front of a convenience store where a Waltham off-duty police officer who sees this guy an older guy going over with a wad of cash, talks to him.
Getting ready to load it into that ATM.
And shows who he is and gets him to be saved.
Unbelievable. Thank God that off-duty officer was there, or that gentleman would have been out $12,000.
And that probably wouldn't have gotten it back.
Well, and not only that, they probably would have come back and said, now owe us more, because they know this guy's vulnerable.
Yep. Let's make things even worse. What some of the scammers will do is, after you've been scammed, they have what they call sucker lists. Yeah. You will get a call. We found that you were scammed. We're from the government, or we're a private organization. We can help you get that money back. Here's how much money we need just to do our job.
It's not as bad as you think it is. It's only worse, right?
Worse.
Steve Weisman, thank you so very much for joining me today. Fascinating conversation.
Always my pleasure.
Thank you.
This is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry.